Pledge of Allegiance first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call to order. We move on. We are on Zoom, so the first, in the interests of social distancing and Governor Mills' social distancing limitations, members of the public are strongly encouraged to participate electronically, and below the invitation information for members of the public that wish to join is on Wednesday virtually. And that is our Zoom meeting, which is located on our website. Call to order. First order of business, public announcements. Details may be found at www.fairfieldme.com. Nomination papers are available from Monday, July 22nd, and are due by September 4th for the November municipal election. There is one seat for the town council, one seat for MSAD 49 school board, and one seat for the Kennebec Water District. Please contact the town clerk for details. Now we move to the second order of business, which is public hearings. To hear from the public on a request from SAPI North America Incorporated for a renewal to operate a solid waste facility on company-owned land off of Route 201 in the town of Fairfield. The chair now declares the public meeting open. Public comments. Those present that wish to speak must sign and print at the podium and state their name and address and entity. And SAPI representative first.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Bob Meno. Work in the environmental department at the SAPI mill, and I am here, as John said, requesting that you renew our permit to operate a landfill on company-owned land of 201 in the town of Fairfield. We've had a landfill there for, well, it's getting close to 30 years now, 29 years, I think, and I believe you've all received a fairly good-sized packet from Tom Griffin that shows all the the development of the landfill, what we plan for future development, and how it's constructed. And, I'm here to invite you to come up. If any of you would like to see the facility in person, I'd be glad to show you around. It's an integral part of our operation, and we thank you for allowing us to continue to operate it.
Okay, very good. Are there any questions for the gentleman?
One quick question. What is your longevity and capacity? How many more years of capacity do you estimate?
Right now, we've got 12 cells we've built. We've closed out 6, and we've closed out. Right now, we put an interim cover on 2. We'll close those out next year. And we have, with the remaining cells we have constructed right now, we probably have 5 years of capacity with the ones we have, but we're licensed to build 2 more cells, cells 13 and 14, which will give us about another 20 years additional capacity.
Great, thank you.
Yes, Stephanie.
I would just like to say that I was very appreciative of the diagrams that were included in our packet. And I know you come every year, but the last time I was on the board, not much has changed in those 5 years. We're still using what was there, 5 years ago, basically, correct?
Yeah, I think 5 years ago we built cell 12. I mean, it takes quite a while by the time you build it. It takes 2 years basically to build it. We'll say grub the area 1 year and finish building the second year, and then it takes quite a while to fill them, and they butt up against each other. So when you close one out, you're filling up against another one, and so yes.
Bob, do you think you have enough land for say 40 years?
Well, like I said, right now we've got room for 2 more cells, 13 and 14, which will add another 20 years probably onto the 5 years worth of space we already have. And we own 2,600 acres around. We would certainly investigate area. You have to have certain soil types. You have to be so
Yeah.
far from public roadways, so far from wetlands.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'd do a thorough search of our area.
I didn't realize you had so much acreage, so that's good. That's good. Yeah, and the other question I had is when you line your tanks, your cells, now that we have the tire place down on Industrial Road, right? I can't remember the name of it. Are you using tires in any of your cells, the cut-up tires for drainage at all?
We don't use any for the construction, but we do burn a lot of them. We purchase chip-up tires from BDS, and we burn about probably 4 tons an hour of tire chips in our boilers to
Really?
generate energy, yes.
Well, that's very good to know because, being in Fairfield, I think that's important. Thank you.
In the other landfill that does that, that uses them, it's actually done to protect it from puncturing the liner because a different kind of waste stream that's more municipal waste, just general household hazardous waste, not hazardous waste, but household waste. Their waste stream's a little bit different, so.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of shops. I mean, it's ash. Most of what goes in our landfill is ash, boiler ash from our 2 hog fuel boilers. So there's not a lot of shops or anything like that for puncturing. But if you look at the diagram Tom submitted to you, I mean, there's a lot of material above the liners. They're dual liner system. There's 2 liners, and there's leak detection in between the liners.
Right.
So we're very careful. Even when we start filling it, we're very careful to put the first layer down to help us protect the liner. We've got to be very careful of it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your thoroughness. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Very good. Any more questions? Okay.
Thank you.
You will, sir. Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak on this matter? Okay. Chair declares that the public hearing is closed. Third order of business. Public comments limit 3-minute equivalent to public speaking. Members of the public may email comments to the council at info@fairfieldme.com by 4 p.m. day of the meeting on any topic or agenda item. Items may be read aloud at this time. Are there any items? Okay. Any members of the public that wish to speak? Okay. Fourth order. Reports from staff and committees. Town manager report.
Good evening. So when I had sent the council out the packet, I had shared some information in the email that went with that, where you saw that the new numbers for revenue sharing have come out. We lucked out, whereas we're only down about $100,000 from the original projections that were put out in March, which is still more than what we had budgeted for when we put our budget together. So we didn't take a big hit in revenue sharing. I had actually budgeted about 30% less than the original projections anyway, so that's good. That keeps us solid within our current budget. Also, I had sent the link for the video of the park that has been done for some stuff that we're doing with Economic Community Development Committee, which we can discuss more when we get to the comprehensive plan discussion, because it fits right in perfectly with that. We had, the fire chief and I had a meeting this week regarding the state funding for the training facility, and how that will work and what our agreements will look like and the timing of all of that. And then also to follow up to a question from the last meeting, I think it was last meeting, we actually have a meeting with the county commissioners in September regarding the TIF funds that we've requested to go for that training facility. And then also on July 30th, I had a First Park Executive Board meeting. We're still working on trying to coordinate a way to do our annual meeting, and it might actually, the General Assembly meeting might actually use our facility here in the gymnasium. And that's about it for me. Anything else I've got for you, we'll discuss as we go along.
Okay, committee reports.
Okay, the Economic and Community Development Committee met last week, I believe, and there are 2 new applications for the facade and marketing program. We'll be meeting between, within the next few weeks to review those applications. The COVID-19 funds are available for small businesses through the Growth Council. at the Mid-Maine Chamber of Congress, Chamber, that's what I
Okay.
wrote, Mid-Maine
Yes.
Chamber of Commerce. And also, there was a $5,000 grant given to us from the Somerset Economic and Community Development
excellent.
Committee. So we have funds available. No?
You can be, if you are a Fairfield business, you could be eligible for an
Eligible.
up to $5,000 grant
Very good.
from the Somerset Economic and Community Development Committee. We didn't get anything.
Okay, so it's from the economic, Somerset County anyways.
Excellent.
We've been focusing a lot on the playground project at Mill Island Park. And we're at the point now where public input is going to be needed. So we've all been charged on the committee to come up with survey questions. And these survey questions will be going on our website, town website, and we're looking for people's input. Our plan is to lay the groundwork for the program during the autumn and the winter so that work can begin on it in 2021. Our next meeting will be to review the plan that we received in our packets tonight for the from Dirigo Engineering on the Green Road housing project possibility. So we'll meet again next month on the first Tuesday of the month, and that's it.
Okay. Any other committee reports? There being none, we'll move on to the fifth order of business, which is a consent agenda. Now, these items are considered routine and standard business and therefore will be enacted by one motion unless a council member requests that the item be removed and acted as a regular action item on the agenda. The first item is 20-105, ordered that the town council hereby approves the treasurer's warrant, number 9, general fund, in the amount of $523,272.06. That is MMEHT, main PERS, motor vehicle, and MSAD 49. The second item is 20-106, ordered town council, Fairfield Town Council hereby waives the reading and accepts the minutes of the meeting number 2020-15 held on July 2nd, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Full. Moving to the sixth order of business, to take action on the following items. All right, the first item is 20-107, ordered that the town council hereby approves an annual waste disposal permit for SAPI, North American Incorporated, landfill facility located on company-owned land off of Route 201 in the town of Fairfield.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries.
Very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're good to go. Thanks, Bob. Item 20-108, ordered that the town council hereby sets a deadline of August 20th, 2020 to submit a letter of interest and resumes for individuals interested in applying for the town council vacancy appointments.
So moved. Second.
Any more discussion on that?
I think we need to let people know that this is going to be until the elections in November, and then we
It
have
actually
one
lasts until your first
Right.
meeting in January.
until January, but there,
Yeah.
as you stated earlier, John, there is going to be a chance to take out papers for the November elections,
Right.
and then that would start up January 1st.
Right,
So-
and actually, it would be a good, a good test and a good place for somebody that is thinking about running,
Yeah.
for the regular office to come in and sit down and see what they like and see if they like it and
Right.
go from there too. So I really suggest anybody that's interested to please come down and take out some papers and fill our empty seat.
And please help spread the word that there is a vacancy. Christina and I were talking actually before the meeting. I think we're going to try to see if we can at least get Molly from the Morning Sentinel to do some sort of article, one, for the normal vacancies and nomination papers, but we got no coverage on the fact
Yeah, I
that
was going to say, we haven't had
resign.
zero coverage on that, period.
Waterville had a counselor resign at the same exact time. that's kind of where the press coverage went,
Yep.
but we've had no coverage with the fact that we
Only
have a
thing I did is I
vacancy.
put it on a community website.
It's on the town's Facebook page. It has
Yeah,
been
it's on
promoted
everything.
like every other
Yeah.
day. We've
I know.
repushed it, and we're just not getting any interest, so.
All right. Okay, anything else on that? Nope. All right, moving on to item.
You didn't
We need to
vote.
vote.
We're gonna
Oh,
vote.
I'm sorry, we need to vote, yes. I'm sorry. All right. I'll look for a motion.
You have it. You have a
We have,
motion and a
okay, we have a
second.
motion, I'm sorry. That's all right, I'm moving ahead. All right, all in favor? Carries full. All right. Okay, moving along to item 20-109. Order that the town council hereby considers and awards the bid for the 2021 truck with body and plow to Freightliner of Maine with Viking gear in amount of $168,506 for Public Works to be expended from the Public Works Capital Equipment account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I have a question, Bruce. I got on the town website, I did see a bid opening. Well, there's a bid opening for selling of a trailer and a plow truck. I saw that, I didn't see this.
Okay.
Yes.
So when we do bids that are supposed for a certain type of entity, they are sent directly to the entities, and that's where this particular type of
Okay.
bid goes. So this went out to a list of,
All right.
yeah, so we don't
Yeah, which
actually
we have.
put those on the website.
It's part of your packet, the vendors it was submitted to was Freightliner.
Yeah, I saw that.
O'Connor's,
Yeah, it's on
Yeah,
there.
that's when I
Yeah.
first saw it. I didn't see the bid, the same time frame, on the same
Right.
time frame for that trailer and
Yeah,
plow
it-
truck to sell, then I saw it come off.
It's a specialty item, which is
Okay.
why it doesn't go on the website.
There were other dealerships as well that I sent
Okay.
bids to that just did not.
That's
Didn't
just
bother
my question.
replying.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are these trucks all automatics?
This truck is going to be an automatic
It
if
will
it's
be.
approved, yes.
And we know that all of the trucks now are coming with cameras, because we've talked about the need for cameras in our trucks.
Yes.
Especially during plow season. And I did some research, just so y'all know, and I looked up the different types of vehicles that were mentioned here.
Yep.
And in the process, I found the Freightliner, and I talked with Bruce about this already. The Freightliner actually has, you're laughing, it has a bigger windshield, so you can see better. And plus, the hood goes down a little bit, so you have better clearance. And I thought that was a really good aspect of the
And what they do
Freightliner.
that is, so they won't hit anything.
Yeah, they've improved in a while. So, but anyways, I was also looking at the different types, like, because I don't know enough about mechanics, and so I was looking at the Mack, the Volvo, the Western Star, and the Western Star seems to be the elite of the cars. So then I went and looked at the bids, and when I looked at the bids, Daigle and Houghton and Freightliner of Maine were going to give us $8,000 for the truck we have now. But then O'Connor's came up with $18,000 on our trade-in. And I really thought that that was a better deal for us. And no matter when you're looking at the plow mechanisms, they're about $12,000 more if you go with a Viking gear versus an HP Fairfield gear. So I'm really tossed. I myself like, and do you find a big difference between a Viking and an HP Fairfield?
Their gear, no.
No. So we're
We
really,
have some of both.
so that $12,000 is a lot in my mind
Yep.
for a difference. But I like the idea that O'Connor's gives us a better trade-in. I like the idea of the Freightliner having a bigger windshield.
I believe the actual trade, though, was $12,000 that they offered through Freightliner. Don't
For-
quote me on that.
I'll
I
have to
don't
look.
have that right in front of me. but-
Because I may have made a
What's the
mistake.
one?
Freightliner,
There's one The longevity of one of them, I know you guys go a lot of time for plowing, and, the maintenance on it. I know one's probably less maintenance and things like that.
Trade-in allowance from Freightliner is 12,000.
Yeah, 12,000.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so-
Longevity-wise, I guess I didn't follow what you were asking, Peter. Sorry.
Well, keeps up with all the high impact, impact of what you guys do. What is,
We've had a little bit of everything. I mean, plowing snow is hard on these trucks. It's a rough business for them. I don't favor one brand over the other, really. You know. I think that answers your question.
yeah. I'm just wondering what, like the breakdown ratio, the fuel ratio on one of them, is it different on things like that, or?
Yeah,
I think they're both lousy. Fuel consumption.
There was a time where public works departments were favoring specific trucks because of how the emissions were changing in the engines, but now they're pretty much across the board, all the
Now everything's
same
tier 4.
miserable, so. But, yeah.
yes.
The other thing I noticed from Freightliner, to get the new truck, they're 90 to 120 days out, but then it's going to take 45 days to install the plow.
Yes,
We could have snow by then.
yes.
Oh, we have other trucks though, so we're.
Oh, well, yeah, right.
The truck
Yeah,
that we're
we might.
trading is still usable.
It's still usable.
Yes.
However, I think that's awfully long. My feeling after looking at all the material, I would like to go with O'Connor's. If the Viking gear, there's really no difference between the Viking gear and the HP Fairfield gear. But we've done business with O'Connor's before. It's about $4,000 difference between Freightliner of Maine. But I think O'Connor's would probably get it to us before snow flies.
I don't think it's going to be any
No?
difference.
No?
No.
Oh, my goodness.
No, and they're quite a bit more expensive, too.
What,
The
O'Connor's?
bid that we have here is the lowest bid.
Due to COVID, it's really taking time for the truck builds, and
Yes.
it typically takes this much time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
it typically does.
We
Wow.
approved the truck for the police department back in February.
Like you said, before
Yeah.
COVID.
We just got it.
If you remember the truck
Yeah.
that you all approved back in March for the cemetery department,
Yeah.
Yes.
we do not
We
have
don't
it
have
yet.
it yet.
You don't have that yet?
No, we will have it next month,
Well,
we
maybe
hope.
we'll get it for
Maybe.
the...
Yes.
Wow.
The season will be over.
So I don't know what you guys think. Freightliner, I really like that bigger windshield. And if they're all going to have a long,
Yeah,
Time
again,
to
it's
get
the
a
lowest,
truck.
it's also the lowest bid that is what's recommended by
Yeah.
the
so you're going with
head of Public
Freightliner?
Works.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we go with
We have
the,
one.
oh, we've got one.
We have
So
already got
moved.
one.
Second.
You did make the motion, and Michael seconded it.
Yes,
to
I
go with
did.
Freightliner.
Yes.
Any more discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Well,
Carries full.
All right, good enough.
All right, moving on to item 20-110. Order that the town council hereby votes and authorizes the town manager to cast the MMA ballot for officers and executive committee members.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carries full.
I think there's only singles running. It's a vote for one and vote for three. It's pretty simple.
Okay, as long as it's,
There's a vote for three, and there's three people running for one position, and a vote for one, and there's one person
as
running.
long as
so-
that's what everybody expects, that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay.
Order item 20-111. Order that the town council hereby adopts and signs the Kennebec Regional Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Resolution, which you have in your packet.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
I had one question on that.
Yes.
Is it equity, or was it supposed to be equality?
Equality, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm asking because I actually looked at the original email received, And it said equity in the document, and I
Yes,
I
we
wasn't
have,
sure if that was the
we
intent of
have
the committee or
we have
not.
the head here, Phoenix, if you would like to come up and
There he is.
say something.
Thanks for having me. It can be
Your name?
either one. Sorry?
Your name?
Phoenix, last name Morningstar.
Phoenix Morningstar, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, didn't put the last name in.
You're correct. It can be either one. It's all on how we want to interpret it here in Fairfield. I think everybody mostly is doing equity.
Okay.
But that's up for further discussion
And that was
as we move
fine.
forward. Yep.
I know the intent of this document was to try to come up with something universal. I just wanted to make sure we had the right word, that's all.
Fantastic.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, is there any discussion on this or anything? I think it's a great program. I think it's a great for economic development, and it puts our community, I think, out ahead of a lot of other communities in the state at this point.
So my question is, where does this go within all of our documents? It's not it's a resolution.
Right. So it gets posted on our website and goes to various different places. It gets used, like if we have grant applications that could call for something like this, where it's known that, it's official that the town council has supported this kind of environment, and that sort of stuff. This came out of a conversation from, quite frankly, Jim Dinkle, when he had traveled out of state for First Park, and we're speaking with a bunch of site selectors and large companies in the Chicago area, that this was kind of one of the new things that folks were looking at when it came to taking your businesses to new locations. In that it was letting folks know that we were in support of diversity in this community, and therefore businesses would be more apt to come to your community as to one that has not declared that they're for diversity. And this conversation started long before the Black Lives Matter movement that recently has gotten a lot more attention. This started long before that. This happened early this spring, and a committee was formed. Gary Bowman from Oakland is on it. Kim Lindloff at the Chamber and Growth Council have put that together. Mr. Morningstar has been chair of that committee, and members from all of the surrounding municipalities, so Winslow, Waterville, Oakland, John was our rep from Fairfield, and have worked on this, and as well as all the surrounding colleges and universities.
So, in a business sense, this is something that we should promote in our flyers and our pamphlets.
Yes.
And not just stored away in a file folder somewhere.
Yes, Phoenix.
So glad you're asking these questions and this is up for. This is exactly what we want to do, is make sure that we have this out and about so that folks like Jim, yourselves, when you're recruiting businesses to come to the community, writing grants and such, that it can be shown that we're actively engaged in this way. It's not just simply to put on a shelf. Hopefully it provides a platform for community engagement and folks that are in the community to actually be able to respond back to this to say, okay, so how do we go about doing events, activities in such a way so that we can actually express the words that are on this paper, so that way when we are writing to say, when you, for example, Hannaford, the second round, whatever Hannaford, next Hannaford comes to town, and they say, hey, we've got a very extensive, and T-Mobile as well, very extensive diversity, commitment to diversity, and how does your town reflect that? That it's not just something that's on a shelf, that now we can take those next steps as a committee, as a community. She labeled off a number of folks who are at very high levels of the community here that have been engaged in it, but there's at least as many, if not more, folks who are just regular voters, community members who've been involved in helping draft this and helping kind of nitpick and edit and things like that, that it also represents that the community is involved as well. That, I just moved here from Virginia, and this all started well before George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter things. We've adjusted some of this because of it, but at the same time, the intent was very pure in prior to that. And when you think of a company moving someplace like this, my wife moved us here for working at Colby, and to look at the community and say, is this a job we want to take? Is this where we want to move? It goes further than just a business, but actually recruiting people who may or may not take a job if they don't feel comfortable, and to be able to see something like this, I would say, really changes the perspective. I can speak as a, I don't know if I'm the new mayor, I still have an out-of-state driver's license, but thanks.
Absolutely.
Is this not going to be looked at every year, or this is just
So-
standard?
This was the standard resolution at this time. Of course, if it needed to ever be changed or adopted, you could do that at any time. And this committee, this was the goal of this committee originally. Its original goal was to come up with a resolution that could easily be sent to municipalities all over the state so that they could take a look at it and adopting it for themselves, maybe make adjustments. And I believe this committee is going to carry on and has additional things that are planned in relation to this, like you said. So it's not just words on a document, but they actually take from it, and there's more to come to go with it. It'll continue to grow. So.
Right.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michelle, this should also go before the Economic and Community Development Committee, so we can talk about it there as well.
Yeah.
So,
Has this gone to the state, or legislature, or the MMA to
No.
do they have a plan?
Right now, we're just doing individual towns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just check.
Yeah. It belongs in the state, but
Okay.
right now is an individual situation.
Well, then, let's lead things off.
Okay.
okay. Thank you.
Did we have a motion?
You have a motion and
We
a
have a motion
second.
and a thing.
Yep.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor? Motion carries, it is adopted. And the clerk will give it to us, each one of us will sign the document. All right, thank you. Item 20-112, order that the town council hereby amends the town council administrative policy fee schedule. Fire department, updating word apparatus engine to apparatus engine 3, and add a new line item, apparatus rescue 3, at the same billable rate of $250 an hour with a 2-hour minimum.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Dwayne is on here if you have any questions for him. Chief Bickford is on, but just so you're aware, this basically came up because you know how when we respond to accidents on the interstate, we can bill the insurances?
Correct.
And it came up, quite frankly, just as a coding billing issue with the insurance companies.
Okay.
And
So
just-
some, to be more specific in the vehicle that
Correct.
is
That is responding.
responding.
All right. Very good. All right. All in favor? Carries. Item -20-113, that the town council hereby approves and accepts funds from the firefighter grant EMW-2019-FG-07543 in the amount of $125,240 to be applied to 21 self-contained breathing apparatus with the requirement 5% matching funds in the amount of $6,262 to be expended from the fire department reserve account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I think it's wonderful that we're getting this help financially to,
Yeah, because Dwayne told us last Tuesday in our meeting that this was happening,
Yeah,
and it's fantastic.
yeah, I think it
Yeah.
is. We're taking advantage out of all of that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Motion carries full. Now, moving on to the 7th order of business, which is council workshop and other businesses. First, to discuss the comprehensive plan, recreation and culture.
Anything on the charter, Stephanie? or-
no, it's all under the comprehensive
Okay,
plan.
oh, good.
All right,
So-
Stephanie.
All right, the first item is to improve water access to the Kennebec River, and there are 3 parts in there, and what I'd like to do is to go down through each one and talk about each item, and then at the end, see what needs to be looked at. So,
Yep.
improve and promote non-motorized boat access to the Kennebec River. That has been going on since the comprehensive plan in 2014. Right outside here, that boat ramp was fixed up, and there's a path. More work is continuing. We fixed up the Hinckley boat landing. There's a new deck there. It's not a deck, wharf, whatever.
Kind of a dock, yeah.
Dock. And so it's something that's ongoing. And even though it said midterm, that goal, objective has actually been completed. Now we're at the next part where it has to be monitored and kept up.
We also have, just so you don't forget, we promote the Shawmut landing.
Yep,
which
thank
is
you.
not ours, but we do promote it, so.
Right.
You're saying non-motorized, saying no motorized boats can go down these ramps, or?
They can go down the ramps. So that provides boat access to the Kennebec
Okay, so
River.
it's promote non-motorized.
Non-motorized.
Non-motorized is like kayaks.
Yeah,
Without propeller movement.
yeah.
So that's what I'm
But-
stating.
That probably should be changed, because I see motorized boats there too. What-
That's propeller driven.
So it should just say boat access and take that out. That's for when we look at it again. Thank you. That's good looking. The next objective is to continue working towards the creation of a linear riverfront park. Definitely an ongoing thing. In talking about Mill Island Park, I don't know if you saw the video that Chad did, but it was very well done. And basically what happened in the video is the layout. Mill Island Park is actually divided into 3 segments.
Correct.
And the part that is, we had talked in 2014 about actually putting the walking bridge in, and
Yes.
we had high plans, but because of liability, that's gone away.
Yep.
But we can improve the look of the riverfront. And so from here on up, make sure people have access to the beautiful scenery. That's going to be something that we're going to be looking at, and that's ongoing. The thing is, it's taking forever and a day to get anything done. What was it, 2 years ago? Maybe 3 now. Public Works went down to Mill Island Park and cleared the brush off the embankment, and it looks so good. And now it's all grown up again. And Michelle is on to that. She's going to be checking with the powers that be and the government to see what we can do about doing something
Right, I
more
mean, and there's still,
permanently.
they have the walking trail, and
Yeah, well, and that's something that we need to look at too, the walking trail. The walking trail doesn't go all the way around the park area. So coming into the park, I can't remember if that's section 1, or if it's section 3. But you have where the swing set is, then you have the flat area where the apartment buildings were back during the heyday of the mills.
Right.
And then you have the peninsula. Once you go around the peninsula and you're walking on the trail, it cuts across where the apartments were.
Right.
So it doesn't really go all the way around the park area itself. And that's something that I think the Economic Committee will be looking at in the future as we look at renovating that whole area for recreation. And
How big is Mill Island? Because I know where it is, but how
much acre, I don't know offhand.
I don't know what the size is. There was a mill, that was
Yeah.
big enough to hold a good-sized mill there.
Yes, yep,
There used to be a lot of houses.
and
over there,
housing.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
A lot
And
of houses,
housing.
individual houses over
Yeah.
there.
yeah, there's still quite a few there.
It's actually quite rich with history.
Yeah,
And as you walk along the path, one of the things we'll be doing on the Economic Committee is taking a look at revamping the signage there that has deteriorated.
yeah,
Okay.
that was put in back in 2014, I think, somewhere around
Before that. It
there.
was
Some
around
of the
20.
signage, there was
yeah.
some new stuff put
Yeah.
into, yeah.
So objective 3 is to investigate the feasibility of a pavilion and removable dock on parkland adjacent to the river. Again, it was the walking bridge that was the big talk, and we now know that basically we can't do it because of liability. However, the idea of a pavilion or a staging area might be something that we look at as we look at renovating the park area itself.
Yep.
That wasn't just liability, that was mostly cost.
And
I was
cost.
primarily cost.
Okay.
And maintenance on that.
Maintenance.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, the second goal under here is to continue improvements to town parks and open spaces, including local recreation programs. And in 2014, we were thinking about a position of a recreation director, perhaps collaborating with SAD 49 and PAL. There's been discussion over the years, but nothing ever has happened with it. I think financially, we're in a good position right now with PAL, rather than to hire on a recreation director. The next objective, expand opportunities in parks, possibly through establishing non-sport activities for adults. We see this at Monument Park. We have the summer concert series, which I don't know if that's going on this year.
We didn't do it this year.
We didn't
Not
do it
this year?
Well, the COVID thing with...
I have a question on that.
Yes.
The place I was, someplace last week, they had a band outside on the pavilion, like a park. And I was thinking, so my wife said, Fairfield, we're shut down, but this local area close by has a band.
Didn't see that.
I was driving down there was a band, a live band outside.
Yeah.
And it's close by, and we're shut down. And how can that town or city have live bands, and we can't have a...
We didn't ever said, nobody said that we couldn't have ours. We just didn't, due to the age demographics that usually come. And because when you have to book those, it was in April.
Right.
And nobody knew what was going to happen. So it just didn't happen this year.
And when you have to book that very far ahead
Yeah.
with those bands, you can't just, say, well, wait a minute, it's July, let's get some band. You
I mean,
can't
if
do
somebody
that.
wants to go set up a band and play in the gazebo, it's public property, nothing's stopping them.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So at Monument Park, we have
Yeah.
the concert series. At Mill Island Park, there's an opportunity for some recreation. There's the swings, you can walk the trails,
Yep.
that kind of thing. So it's ongoing, but the big thing is we need manpower when it comes to making improvements, and it can't just be us talking about it, but we need to have citizens' involvement in getting things done. And the town manager is continuing to maintain the current town facilities and to promote access to the facilities. That's an ongoing thing.
Some other things that we have done that doesn't really show up in here, and they didn't succeed, was we had tried some community gardens, 3 different locations.
right.
One was here, one was actually at the Mill Island Park, and one was down on the land that we own across the street from Circle K at the end of Western Ave.
Right.
And if you remember correctly, that year it was so dry. They planted sunflowers and barley, I think it was, and it was so dry that nothing lived.
And this year would have
It
been...
grew very short. We had a couple of sunflowers that came out of it, but nothing really lived.
This year would have been
We had
worse.
coordinated with the folks from Meridians and their Benton Farm and tried to do some of that. The Girl Scouts have had a garden over on Mill Island for quite some time, and I think they've forgotten that is there.
Yep.
So, yeah, we've tried doing some things. We have put in, Public Works did build us the new planting boxes that we have between Sunny's and Beatty's, and we have done that, and we are still looking at improvements to the park that's over on the corner of Lawrence and Main, as well as some other areas. It's just takes time and money.
Time, money, and people. Yes.
People's a big one.
Yeah. The next goal was to improve local recreational trail opportunities, and what we've had going on is to work with the snowmobile groups. We continue to do that. We're improving and maintaining walking paths within the urban area. We also have Cattail Trail, and we'll have a grand opening someday for it. And we have talked about creating a regional and bicycle pedestrian plan in the past. past, but mostly it was in relationship to revamping of the road 201 down by the underpass on the southern end of town. And I don't know where that's going.
Well, and I
so.
know, not that long ago, DOT just did a new one of these pedestrian bicycle plan. And I think a portion of Fairfield is actually featured in their map system. Chris Huck worked on that with DOT before he retired. That came out a couple years ago. And then also don't forget, if you were to update this in the future, not just snowmobile groups, but you also now work very well with the ATV group as well. That's another organization for recreational trails that we've been working with.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the last goal under recreation and culture is to improve the formation about, improve information about and access to local cultural offerings. And that's working through the library, the Maine Commission for the Arts, and just to encourage positive coverage through newspapers on our affairs. And I know at the economic level, when we meet and we're applying for grants, we often consider the Maine Commission for the Arts. We just did it in the mural project, which is not going anywhere, but we hope to incorporate it with the park program project. And with the library, I think Lou's doing a good job considering the circumstances, especially right now, but I was wondering if she has something that she would like us to look at as a council. See if, to make things better. I don't know.
I don't know either.
So maybe we could have her at some point talk to us about her dream list, because I know she's had opportunity since COVID-19 to fix things up in the library and do stuff with old books. But maybe, and the roof was just replaced, but I don't know what else is on her dream list.
Right now is actually the floors and the painting of the interior.
Is that it?
And we're hoping that if we can get it, unfortunately, the issue was we had to wait till the budget was passed, but now that the budget's passed, Public Works is busy with road work, so they can't do the painting, but we're still working on coordinating that. And they have the funds and stuff for that, but.
Okay, what
yeah,
about
that's what we're working on right
culturally?
now.
Is there anything that we could do to help her?
She hasn't mentioned anything recently, so I know we do an awful lot with our children's programs, and we're still currently doing quite a bit, even though they're not coming into the library. We're putting together craft kits for them, where the children's librarian actually does a practice one and shows them how it works, and she puts all the components together, and then the kids sign up for those, and they send those out for various different things. They were doing little popsicle stick flower gardens with cutouts and all kinds of stuff. We've watched her. Members of the library staff are currently still monitoring our front door for us. So it's interesting every Friday when she comes in and we get to see what new craft projects she's working on to put together for the kids. And we've tried a lot with the children's program too. She's incorporated various different themes, and we now take those crafts and we display them at the town office.
Oh, that's
so
good.
the big glass window when you come in that goes down into the stairwell, we try to do a different theme like every season or so, and she would send up a note of what they did, and then all the kids send their artwork, and we display it for them there, and then we send it back to the library so they can take it home. So that's how we've kind of tried to expand some of that.
That's good, that's good. So overall, in recreation and culture, I think I'd give us a check mark. Because it takes so long to get things done, and since 2014, we've basically been
Yes.
talking about Mill Island Park
Yep.
and redoing the playground out there. So, I'd love to see a check plus. It's the
Yeah,
teacher
well,
coming
I
out
mean,
with
we've
me.
done some things. We did put a new swing set and all that.
No, there's no new swing set. It's the old swing that's there, but we took out the slide because that
Well,
was
we
Took
falling
out
Yeah.
two pieces of
Yeah, I
equipment
was
over
gonna say,
there
we took
because
stuff
they
out.
were
Yeah.
old
We did a
and
few
dry
things
rot
on there,
and
yeah.
got dinged on our insurance inspection.
Yeah, so for our citizens, check our website for when the survey questions come out, because the Economic Committee does need to have input. And if you'd like to work on a committee, contact me. That would be a fine thing. But overall, maybe next time we can put a check plus.
So one of the things with it, especially with regards to the video, that Chad has done with the television station. We do plan to couple that with the survey questions for this fall and this winter, figuring it would be a good thing for folks to be able to sit at home and be able to view the park and answer the questions. One of the things that has come up, as Stephanie mentioned, we've done a couple of different grants for murals, and we're not getting very far with those grants, so we kind of put the stop to applying to those and want to get a lot more community feedback, because that seemed to really be an area which we were lacking. Like, we were putting the cart before the horse a little bit. We were trying to get the money, and then we were going to get the community feedback, so we were thinking that we'll get the community feedback first, and maybe we'll have a better chance of getting the money.
Yep.
So to help fund some of these projects. But this will be an interesting thing so that folks can really tell us exactly what it is that they want their park to be. I mean, and if you look at some of the pictures right now with the video that Chad did and the benches that are facing the river, you're really just looking at the brush that's there, and you
Also,
gotta...
you're looking at the natural environment.
So, yes, you are. But you're not seeing the river for that view.
No.
So we're looking at a couple of things that we can do naturally, but it's hard when you deal with a river to do anything with brush removal and hardening your banks or your river and that kind of stuff. It's a difficult process to get that
Well,
balance. So.
requirements by the Army Corps of Engineers on that, too.
I was just going to say,
Lots
when
of
you get into
requirements,
that,
so-
then you get into the
Environmental.
DEP situation and got to
And-
get their approvals on everything that you're doing.
And cutting brush over there is always on our list of things to do. In that particular year that they managed to clean that all out in there, we were very light on snow that year, and
Yeah.
they had quite a bit of time, because it's a project that Public Works always does in the
Right.
wintertime. If they're not out plowing and doing snow removal, they're doing brush removal.
Yeah.
So
So thank you.
All right, very good. Anything else on that?
Nope.
Nope. All
Sounds
right,
good.
next item, discuss the town farm feasibility study.
they didn't put this in here for any big major discussion. I really wanted to get your feedback as to whether or not you would like Dirigo Engineering to come to one of your next meetings to discuss this with you.
Yes. I know, I
And I wanted to make sure you had it. I didn't want to hold on to it any longer. We had it. It'll give you a good time to review it and go through. Hopefully you can decipher what's going on in there, whereas they went through, they looked at a lot of our options. They didn't do, extreme investigation into vernal pools, but they did discover where they think they would be and all of those different pieces. This is the document that leads to all of the other documents that would go to this kind of project. This is where you start. So it does put us in a great location, even though, yes, some of these numbers are quite high. If there are economic development opportunities in the future, some pretty big federal ones, which I've heard there's a possibility, having this document could set us up very nicely to be able to start that grant process.
Yeah, I think it would be good to put it on the agenda and have somebody
And have
from...
Dirigo come
Have Dirigo come and
go over any questions that
go
you
over it with
have.
us,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
It is
And that's
quite-
really
It's quite
what-
extensive.
It is, and they did a good job, and
Yeah.
they thought they were done, and I said, no, I want to know how much it's going to cost for underground utilities, all of them. So, but, I mean, it doesn't cost, we were having them do the study anyway, it didn't cost us really that much more for
Right.
having them get us a price of what underground utilities would be. And in a perfect world, if you were to move into a subdivision and the only thing that was above ground is your streetlights, and everything was underground, they would look really nice. So if you want to go all the way as possible, as far as you can go, why not find out how much it's going to be? It doesn't hurt to find out how much it's going to cost.
That's right. Yeah, maybe we could invite the Economic Committee here as well to hear him, and then at our next meeting, we can
We do
talk
that. We'll
about what
make
he
sure we
said.
encourage them. Yep.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if, I'm really not sure if the Dirigo folks are meeting in person with municipalities right now or not, or if they'll
We
be
can
doing
Zoom it.
Zoom. But I'll get them on your next agenda just as soon as I can, so.
Okay.
And that's perfect.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Michelle.
It was a big, nice piece of work that they did. I went through the whole thing. There's a lot of environmental questions in that, for this project.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Big.
Yep.
There is. Which was the whole point of having it done, because we didn't know.
Yep.
We had absolutely no idea. The one thing that surprised me out of all of what we got there was the bats. The endangered bats. That was the one thing that surprised
They
me the
didn't
most.
see any chance of, well, since the wetland, any beavers or things out there? Because since it's a wetland, you might have any other water fowl out there or any other water
So
creatures?
there wasn't anything when it came to protected waterfowl regions? That wasn't in there?
Did
I
you find
didn't
out-
see that in
Did
there.
they find an inlet and outlet, or is this,
No,
is it
it's
just
just wet.
standing?
It's boggy.
Okay.
Yep, it's just wet.
That's my question right there.
So anyway, but we'll have them come and go over that with you.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Good.
All right, moving on to number 3, which is discuss parking on Cottage Street. And that's a situation where Cottage Street I'm not quite sure how long, but in a few weeks, Cottage Street is going to be paved. Is that correct? Okay. And one of the problems on Cottage Street, of course, right now, it's full of potholes and things like that, but it's a crossover street. And it is a 2-lane street, and it's a narrow 2-lane street, actually, and there's quite a few cars go through there. And unfortunately, when it gets repaved, they're going to find out it's going to be a little bit quicker moving and stuff like that. So what happens in a lot of instances is people will park in front of a house, and they'll park right on the lane on up thing. So when a car comes down the road, they've got to veer over into the other lane to get around it. And when you've got double traffic coming both ways, sometimes that can be very dangerous. It becomes very hard situation. So I talked to a few of the residents on the street and stuff, and they have no problem with, people, if they want to park in front of their house, they can pull into their front yard and park on the yard next to the street. But the street itself, that's where a lot of them do park, is right on the street itself. So I had thought about just doing no parking, on the street sides of Cottage, because we're going to also have, we voted on it last year, but once they finish the street, we are going to have 2 signs up there with no through trucks, because we do get a lot of big trucks go down that road. I shouldn't say a lot, but there's a few, and it's not a route to get from point A to point B.
Right.
It's very residential.
Should it be a detour situation? Because you've got, it's Verdun, Liberty, and what's the other one? Kai's.
Cottage.
Can you guys go on to the Kai's parking lot anymore? That's all gated off?
No, that's all gated off. So you've got 3 streets there that are dead-end streets.
Right, okay. So during the construction phase, when you're working on it, you're digging up the old stuff, right, Bruce?
Yes, the road will be reclaimed.
Okay, so during that whole process, should that road be detoured to Military Avenue? I mean, there's a lot of, and just keep it for access to the residences?
That is what we'll do.
That's the only thing that they can do.
Yeah.
What John is saying is he would like to suggest that there be no parking on the side of Cottage Street,
Ever?
ever.
I'm good with that, because
Yeah.
it's so narrow.
It's so narrow, and
Yes.
when people park in front of a house, a lot of the people are very considerate. They pull into their yards, or they have people pull into the yards, so they're off the 2 sides. But there is a lot of people that still park right in on the pavement. When they park on the pavement, they take up the whole lane. It's just a narrow street.
Bruce, are you widening the street, or you, what's the limits? What's the footage on the
21.
21?
11-foot lanes.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
No, what's the town right of way up through there?
I would have to look at it to be certain, because all these streets vary. I'm going to guess it's 3 rods, which would be around 25 feet from center line, each side.
25 from center? Yes. So we got roughly 50.
Like 49.9 feet
Yeah.
total.
It's not
Rough, we'll go with roughly.
Roughly 50 feet up through the, okay, so
Yeah.
that's actual town
Right of way.
right of way.
It's roughly about 24 each side.
What did I say, ma'am? Sorry.
I don't know, I didn't hear you. And that's if it's a
that's
3
something
road.
as we move on to that and get
That's
it
the question.
constructed, that I'd
We'd have
like
to
to
look.
see us bring up to and bring it in and,
Are there any other streets in town that have no parking on them?
Not that I'm aware of, other than, I'm sorry.
Really?
There's a few that
Yeah, there's a
have
few.
sections that are no parking, but no entire streets that
Right.
have no parking.
And there is the, from specific dates of no parking for plowing.
Well, that's any street in Fairfield, there's a parking ordinance for winter
Right.
storms.
Well, it
Parking
depends
ban,
how long the winter
they
goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know of any streets that there's no parking either side. I mean,
Because I'm thinking, what happens if a resident has a party, say a graduation party,
that was my first thought when I,
and
know,
nobody
and,
can
you know,
park on the
said
side
that.
of the road?
Maybe a permit or something saying,
We'll get a lot of parking ticket revenue.
Yeah. We get a lot of revenue.
Yeah, because they are parking on town property.
Yeah, people park on town property now.
Right.
Yeah. So if you put up signs and say no parking, then they'd get a parking ticket.
I've got kind of a funny feeling about restricting no parking
Well,
at all.
The funny feeling on that one is that I look at it from a standpoint, because I travel that road all the time, is that at some point in time, I don't know if it's going to be in the middle of the night or whatever, because it is hilly, and that we're going to wind up with a head-on collision. Because if somebody's parked there and somebody pulls around and somebody else comes up the other way and bang.
the lighting down there.
The lighting is relatively decent, but nothing spectacular.
So you could send an invitation for comment to all of the folks who live on Summer Street.
On
Summit
Cottage Street, yeah.
Cottage Street, I mean.
I think I would like to hear from them before I act on anything, to see if it would be a hardship. There's plenty of lawn space out that way,
Everybody
except
has a good-sized yard that people could park in if they have to, if they're going to have a big party or something like that. Now, the other thing would be, I would say, if maybe we can fit this in, is that if somebody is going to have a big party or something up there, they could come down to the town, get a special permit, and set it up so that they could have parking, a little bit of more parking or extra parking there, and put up
Just in case they have
some cones or something like
They get
that.
together and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, my two thoughts are, to me, the only really bad area is on the eastern side of Cottage Street, at the hill where Charlie Matthews lives, down in
Yeah.
that area.
Yeah.
To me, that's the most dangerous part.
And actually, they've had up above, there has been a couple of houses where some big trucks and that have been parked right out so that they're halfway in the lane.
Or you won't be able to see them when they go up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if you
But
got two
I do
cars
think
coming
we
down
need-
at once and one car starts veering over and,
I think we need to listen to what the residents have to say, and
Joe,
as I said, I've talked
can
to
you
a
get
few of
police
them. so-
reports for Cottage Street? for the
I
last-
can.
I don't know how
Yeah,
far
I'm just
back you
concerned too,
can
when
go,
we say
but-
that ban for no food trucks.
They can
What if
usually go
someone
back
has
quite a ways.
deliveries?
What's that?
That's not delivery is not a through truck. A through truck is just strictly going from Savage Street to
Okay.
Logway.
College
But some
Avenue.
people might not think that,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
just in case the deliveries, and somebody says
Well,
deliveries.
we've got roads in town with no through trucks on it, signs.
Yes, they do have, they have the signs, Davis.
Yeah, no through trucks.
They have signs there.
But you
The
could have,
truck, apparently the trucks cannot read.
well, if it's a
So-
local delivery, they can go up there.
Interestingly enough, this conversation just came up on the manager's listserv. And folks are looking to find out if there is a way, with what's happening with trucks is when they have truckers that are not used to being in the area, because evidently they can't read signs, but they think if we're looking into ways in which we can report to the GPS system folks, so that they know that these routes cannot be part of a truck route. And we're looking ways to
Yeah,
report those
that's a good
streets.
idea.
Because there's another
Especially
municipality, evidently, that all municipalities have problems with it, but there's somebody that's having a constant problem with trucks going through an area where they shouldn't be, and then what's happening is these trucks are getting stuck, And come to find out what the drivers are saying is that that's how the GPS lady is telling them how to go. So we're looking for ways, they're looking into a way to report that.
Or it's a shortcut from
You know,
one area
that
to
kind of
Scout, from Fairfield to Scout, you can take a shortcut.
Yeah, well, I've had my GPS tell me, put me down ATV roads to go into a place.
Rough road.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when you come up on 3 ATVs coming at you.
Out of a swamp.
So for your next meeting, I can get you the police reports for Cottage Street for accidents. And then what we can also do is draft just a brief little one-page notice, send it out to all of the residents of Cottage Street to let them know that you'll be discussing this again at your next meeting. And that they would like to have their feedback, whether they join us via Zoom or send us written comment.
Yep.
And then that way you can have, and then at least you know you've notified them, and if you get nothing, well then you'll know that nobody is really concerned about, you not having parking up there. Or folks that are concerned or should definitely be able to share that information with you. So we'll make it as easily for them to make themselves available as possible.
Yeah,
We'll get
that
this
was
on
just-
for discussion
I mean,
for your next meeting.
Yeah, my whole thought on that was just strictly safety is what I'm more concerned with than anything.
No problem.
And will that go under our council workshop?
I'll still put it under as a workshop.
Yeah.
If we get a lot of feedback, though, that says that folks want to participate, would you mind if we actually moved it more up towards
No,
the
that's
top
fine.
of the
Not at all.
meeting
That's fine.
instead of the end?
I mean, we can
And there
have
is,
discussions and work.
yeah, and there's one more thing too. There are an awful lot of young, smaller kids on that street
Right.
that are up and down that street riding bicycles and things like that. So that,
And things like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
which is another situation that is could create a problem.
So in other words, right now, the potholes are slowing them down.
I don't know as if that's true.
Well, they are a little bit, yes. It depends whether you want a broken axle or not.
So they use boards and just fix a little ramp and go over potholes with them boards. Gotta get creative.
It's costed us more money to keep filling the holes. Okay. Now looking to go to discuss other council business. Start with Stephanie.
I was just wondering where we stand on the Savage Street reconstruction.
Go ahead. Let the man of the hour tell
I've been
you.
avoiding that area, thinking I'd have to wait in line a long time.
Much to my surprise, they showed up today and began work.
Really?
Yeah.
So we are underway. They, contract states, once they start, they cannot stop, they cannot leave. We're steadily approaching the deadline for the project, so they're here, and
What is the deadline, Bruce?
September 30th, before they cannot lay asphalt any longer. That's per state rules, and of course, as you know, this is a joint project with the state and the
So
municipalities.
the state is a cutoff is
State is September 30th.
Okay. We can run beyond that if weather permitting for town,
For yes,
town.
but as per this project, where it's an MPI, the
Okay.
joint,
Okay.
funds, September 30th is it.
How's the Upper Ridge Road project? The Upper Ridge Road?
That'll be paved first of next week.
Oh, while you're in the hot seat, the old Orange Walk Road?
Yes. On hold for right now.
So how are they getting to the old Upper Ridge Road? Are they going through Ohio Hill Road or getting to the work site? Are they going from 201 in that way?
My guys are,
Any crew?
yeah.
Okay. Well, you see a lot of traffic coming up Ridge Road.
What kind of traffic? Dump truck traffic, you
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
Okay. Public Works traffic? No. No, I mean, nobody but us has worked up there as of
I
late.
mean, you see a lot of dump trucks and a lot of other trucks coming up Ridge Road.
Yeah,
Must be somebody else's project.
it's possible. I haven't seen any,
A lot of cranes.
Hmm.
Well,
Okay.
I'm just wondering too, that would destroy that road again.
Indefinitely, or?
Not indefinitely, but probably for this year, it's off.
Yeah.
It's not a definite, I don't want to say anything's definite, but we've run into an issue with one of the other projects at me. Winter Street has concrete under the first section of it. So I'm exploring what to do with that. It obviously can't be reclaimed. I don't want to repave the street over the concrete because it's just,
Gonna be like the bent neck over there.
right, so,
Just gonna keep
you
falling
know,
apart.
right now, it's best that we focus on Winter Street to get this situation addressed. So I'm working on some things.
Yeah.
I noticed you did come out and fill in some of the potholes out there,
Yes.
so that's appreciated. I haven't lost a tire yet, so we're doing good.
Now, another question, Bruce.
Yes.
On this, did that trailer and plow truck ever get sold, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you get enough to cover the new truck?
Oh, only 50,
Sure,
20.
no problem. Okay.
I'm good.
Michael, you good? All right. The only thing I've got to say is I was happy to see that when I went by today, I believe Meridian's is reopened.
They opened 2 days ago.
Did they? Well, yeah, I hadn't seen it, but going by today,
That's fantastic.
I was happy to see that they were reopened. We're starting to get a little waking up on Main Street.
Any plans for that new building they was trying to work on? Michelle, that?
The one right next
I know they're
to
working
them?
on that 160, but I mean, the other building, the old creamery,
No, none.
they're still on,
The town took possession of the yellow apartment building that's on the opposite
Yes.
side of the parking lots of
Right. I
those
saw
there.
that.
And we've secured that and made sure everything's fine there. That has been thought of as being an ideal location for parking for down there, because that's one of the biggest issues with any business going in over there where the creamery is and stuff, is because there's just no parking. I do know that the folks at Meridian's have an interest in that building that we foreclosed on. It was a bank foreclosure, and we took it from the bank. So there's a possibility, nothing right now. They worked on, Meridian's expanded their footprint to the building structure next door to them, so the space that was between them and the Union Hall, because of social distancing and COVID-19. There was something different that was supposed to go on that side. So they came to us and we worked with them on a project so that they could expand. They had to cut a hole in the wall and move everything over because those two spaces were not joined.
Yeah.
And so that they could.
are they still
they could
thinking
use that
about
seating.
moving out back?
I do not know. We had originally talked to them with their plans too about outdoor seating, whether or not they wanted to lease X number of parking lot spaces in back of the building, so if they wanted to do that out in the back there. But their goal at that time was simply to expand over into their existing space. And obviously, that's going to make it easier for wait staff and that sort of stuff, as they're all under one location, but nothing yet.
Any more word about the Grange, that property next to the Grange?
So I have contacted the surveyor that did the original survey from 1992, because it was recommended that we do get a surveyor. Well, if we go through this surveyor, it should be relatively cheap. It's going to cost us between $900 and $1,000 to have them come survey the area for just the septic system, the septic tank. They will give us a description and pin it so that it's there, so you can carve that out, so that if the council does the conveyance of the property with the existing deed description, you can do an accepting the section that they give us the description on and have it pinned. I was able to reach them actually just last week, and we are on the list for them to do. We also had to file, remember I had said we had just found those deeds from the property line piece? We had to get those filed at the registry. That was actually done yesterday, because they'll need those deed filings to reference in their description. Yeah, so we're getting that stuff together. So it's moving. It's not moving fast, but it is moving.
I did read in your minutes that the police department did go to New York State to get a trailer for storage.
Yep.
Where is that located? Is that located right behind us, or?
I think so. I think it's right back there, right now. Yeah.
Is that just for storage? Because I know the social distancing of the office.
They went to Fort Bragg and picked that up for free.
Oh, you mean, not Bragg, that's not North
Not Bragg,
Carolina. Drum.
Drummond, yeah.
Yep.
We got that for free.
Okay,
And we just had to go pick it up.
okay. Any new ideas, or, because since on the Norsworth Road, we'll be hearing a lot of police and fire going over there. They've been over there the most, a lot lately. Any more ideas of moving part of the police department into the old fire place in
Not at this time.
or how about the Hinckley location? Because I know we had an office up in Hinckley, up the school.
That was at the school because of the state's juvenile detention facility that's up there. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they still have office space up there too that they can use, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they do.
still have that.
There's plenty
But that
of
wasn't
space up
for patrol purposes out of there. That was sort of make sure, because we were being called there so many times a day that they had a space to be able to work and do what they needed to do.
Yeah,
That
because I
wasn't,
think that issues on Norsworth roads happen a lot lately, a lot of accidents and things like that. I'm just one and two. Yeah, our police department's here in downtown Fairfield, and over in Fairfield Center, it takes a long time for them to get over there. So I don't know if
and I'm not sure, I haven't heard that the numbers have taken an uptick in that region, but
it's been 2 or 3 accidents.
I can ask that question when I
Okay.
ask about the other
Okay.
Yeah,
for Cottage Street.
sounds good. All right. Anybody else?
Oh, also too, since couple of days been real hot lately, and with the heat index, I just want to tell the residents, just watch out for each other, you know, like little kids, and also too, if you know any senior citizens that might not need assistance, just check on them for heat, and make sure they have a lot of water too, so just check out your neighbors, so.
Okay.
John?
All right, then the next regular meeting of the Fairfield Town Council will be on Wednesday, August 26th, 2020, to be held as a hybrid meeting via Zoom in council chambers at 6:30. Now, the 8th order of business is executive session. Number 1, order that the town council hereby enter into...
John, we have to sign.
Recess.
We have to recess.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We don't
All
have
right.
recess on here.
We don't have recess on here. We went right to the 8th order of business.
Recess isn't on there?
Motion to recess.
Second.
All in
Not
favor?
on there.
Okay, done. We're on recess.